Top three things this morning in my notebook. Number one, Japan. Number two, the 10-year bond yield here in the U.S. And number three, commodity inflation. First in Japan, interesting to see what's going on in Japan now. Now, whether you deliberately tax people with a legislated tax, or you give them an unlegislated tax, which of course would be a policy to inflate, people don't have any money left. Imagine that. So look at Japanese CPI for April, up 3.2% year over year. They wanted inflation, they got it. Retail sales down 4.4%. How do you like that model? Again, Nikkei down, 9.5% for the year-to-date. It did fail that trend resistance. The yen is strengthening because this isn't working. Clearly, this is something that the bulls need to review. Secondly, 10-year bond yield, that minus 1% GDP number, if we actually used the real inflation number, we would have had a minus 3% GDP number, all due to the weather in a very small part of the country. Again and again and again, 10-year bond yields are correlated to growth slowing. That is very obvious. I don't know why anybody wouldn't consider that obvious unless they weren't positioned for it, which is, of course, what consensus is not. So the 10-year bond yield has no support to 2.42%. Hedgeye Risk Management maintains that the 10-year bond yield is going closer to 2.2 to 2.3%. That's been our call throughout the year, and we're sticking to it. And then finally, commodities, which is, of course, why the consumer's slowing. So you can tax them pretty much any way that you want, passive-aggressively or unlegislatively, and they're going to slow. I mean, that's the way that the real world works. So we put up a real conversation with Peter Schiff, actually, on this. He was quite reserved, and it was a very good conversation, but it was about a real conversation about what people actually have to spend in this world, and everything that they have to spend on is going up in price, including commodities. CRB index up 10% for the year-to-date versus the Russell 2000, which is obviously a proxy for U.S. growth investing, down 2% for the year-to-date, time-stamped. So those are your top three things.